Action. Good afternoon, everyone. 1, 2, 3. It's not evening yet, but maybe by the time I'm done, it'll be evening. No, it won't be that long. Welcome to this fabulous special product feature class in SU. I just try to come up with all fancy words to title it. We're going to have some fun today. I'm going to play a lot of music, and I'm just going to kind of guide you along the way on some of the most important features that the Lowrey introduced, and I'll talk a little more about that. But let me open up with a little classic old tune way back. Let's see if I can pull this off. Here we go. All right, well, thank you so much. We hope you enjoy that. By the way, I'm going to clue you in on some of the things I'm doing along the way. So what I want to do today is I'm introducing, as I said, the SU Series. I've been doing a kind of a little tour of the SU Series and some of those important features. When the SU Series was introduced, the first model that was introduced was in 2001. And there was a huge shift in the music product industry, especially in the organ world, and especially for Lowrey. In fact, I would say, comparing to years past, there were more features, sounds, concepts that was introduced in an organ that has carried for a lot longer than in years past, in my opinion. It was the first time that it was little things. It was much easier to save presets on an organ and store them on a computer, whereas before it was a very complicated process. You had to have like programs on the organ, on the computer. It was very difficult to save files, have a backup on a computer. Everything kind of worked alongside with the way the industry was progressing. They made things a lot easier. So a lot of the concepts you're going to hear and see today, depending on the model, and if you have an Imperial, or I know some of you have a Marquis or an Aria, RA22, a lot of this is going to be certain sound unfamiliar to you. The purpose of doing this really is you might learn something new, but also so that when other people see this demonstration when I post it, if they're new to a product like this, or maybe there's someone that's considering this type of instrument, you hopefully get an idea. Now, I'm going to back up to that song I was playing. Razzmatazz was the style that I used. And if you notice when it was playing, I was doing this. So if you use the style razzmatazz, by the way, it will, those fill-ins are designed to come in for a song like that. So that's why I was doing that. That was actually a style that was introduced back in 2001, and it still happens to be a style that I have a lot of fun playing. But the start of when the first SU model was introduced, I'll give you a little history, and you might see if I can get this correct. So in 2001, the first SU model, SU 500 Royale, was introduced. A year later, the SU 400 Rhapsody was introduced. And they didn't go low to high. They started with the new flagship, and then they introduced the one below it. Not at the same time, a little later. And then subsequently, they came out with the SU 300 Legacy, which maybe I'll sneak over and play a song on it. I have it behind me. And then they introduced SE models. Those were the lower intermediate models. And then along the way, they would fit in new models in between. So in 2003, the Grand Royale was introduced. And that was one that had a backrest and the foot pedals. And the year later, they introduced the Stardust. That was in 2004. And the Stardust was basically a Grand Royale in a cabinet. Well, I don't have it plugged in, but you can take a quick peek. That's what a Stardust looks like. In fact, the Royale and the Stardust cabinets had the very exact same design. Okay, that was in 2004. And then, in 2005, this was introduced, the Lowrey Sensation. And the reason, I think what happened after a few years, Lowrey had such success with Grand Royales and Stardust and what have you, but they realized there was a lot of folks that had organs like in this size or a little smaller, that maybe the Stardust and the Grand Royales were a little too high priced or physically in size a little too. So they kind of did something where they scaled down the size as much as they could. They grabbed some of the great features from the models and styles and they put them in. Not quite as small as this, but not quite as big as that. The Sensation is just one of the many organs in the line that are great. Obviously, this has a roll top. Some people love this roll top, especially in Arizona. Just today, I had to dust the keys and everything. I was like, I just did this like 4 days ago, and I'm like, where's the dust coming from? But some people like this so much, they don't even open it up. They leave it closed all the time. Now, I know what you're thinking. How do they play the organ? They just put holes here, and they stick their hands in. And okay, no, I'm just kidding. Anyway, many of the organs, when you get in this class, have, you know, the rack extenders. And I don't have my plexiglass here, but let's see what we got. I've been moving them around. Okay, let me take one from over here. So it fits in here, of course, like many of you have, if you're seeing this for the first time. And to me, this was really great. By the way, it's one of the models that I've seen get the closest in this size. And I remember, show of hands, anyone know the name Dennis Awe by chance? Some of you know, raise your hand. Dennis, I asked Dennis when we introduced one of the models, I said, boy, they got it that close. Couldn't they just get a little closer? He says, yeah, but then it would be a chin rest. So it makes sense. And pull it out as far as you possibly could where it doesn't totally block. You could still see what's happening. I'll leave it in for the duration maybe. All right. Also, the lights, the music lights, as you can see, the ABC lights. The music light up here, you may not see it because I have light on, but you could see you have lighting up here as well. The benches on these are pretty fabulous. So, you know, some people like to have a bench where you can, and I don't know if you saw this, some of you might have been on the show Carrie and I did 2 weeks ago on the smaller models. But I had a few people that said they needed to see this again because they didn't believe me. This is a very magical bench because when you open it up, obviously you have room for, you know, music books. You can fit a lot of music books. But it's magical because it opens, oh, look at that. It even stays up on its own. But it's magical not because of that. That's just good engineering, putting good, what do you call those parts in there? But it opens up this way, and it opens up this way as well. Boy, that is one very special bench. And it opens up this way as well, and it opens up this way as well. So it's a four-way bench. Boy, you're going to leave here with some very, very valuable information. So sorry, Imperial owners, you only can pull out the drawer off the side. But you have those wonderful speakers, right? Moving on, in years past, Lowrey has always done a phenomenal job with the rhythm styles. But when the SU Series came out, that's when they really did, to me, a great job at introducing signature styles and all sorts of new styles that favored music that most of our customers love. So, for example, if I was to, some of you may know the name Frank Sinatra, right? Even if you don't join his music, most people know who he is, right? But at one point or another, he had a song that somebody liked. And you know, when I say the name Frank Sinatra, all the big hits come to mind. This one was very popular, and it's a style that they called New York Swing. Now, because I'm going to play so many songs today, I'm going to play a lot of songettes, okay, so you can get a lot of music. And if you listen to this, it's absolutely phenomenal. The background, the introduction, everything is just like made for that song. Now, I'm going to try to remember to show you what I'm doing along the way, because if you have this, it's a simple little setup, but I use the style called New York Swing, obviously. Now, make note, if you have the SU or A series, I'm going to use the term rhythm preset, which I'm going to talk about in a minute. If you have the E series, rhythm preset would be vintage on your model, okay? So in other words, if I put New York Swing on Jeanette, you said you had the Grand Marquis, right? Marquis or Grand Marquis? Or is it Sharon? Who has the Grand Marquis? One of you do. You're tapping. I see you. Unmute, unmute.
Oh, I didn't say that. I have a Legacy.
Legacy. Who's got the, Sharon, you have the, just go like this. Okay. She's tapping the screen. I say, you're going to break your screen trying to unmute. I could read thumbs. Okay, so the Grand Marquis is the E series, and it has vintage. Okay? Vintage is basically what rhythm preset used to be. And they called it vintage because they didn't want the terminology, because they started using the words like setup instead of presets. And all that means is that these are so many great presets and rhythm presets. Again, I'm about to tell you that they didn't want students to lose that when they went into the E series. The E series are phenomenal, partly because we have all of this that you're going to hear today in there. So if I put New York Swing on an E model, and I wanted that setup, I would put vintage style setup, okay? As I played towards the end of the song, all I did is I reached up and hit the alter style. So the style sounded like this. As I was playing, and when I did the alter style, it's that big finale. Okay, so that was all I did at the very end there. Now, I mentioned rhythm preset, and I said I was going to tell you I better do this so I don't keep you hanging here. Before the SU series, Lowrey, on their top-of-the-line model, got up to what was called 3 rhythm presets. And here's all that meant. If you select a rhythm, country, Latin, big band, whatever, you had a rhythm preset that would set it up for that rhythm. If you had 2 rhythm presets, well, then you had 2 different setups. And if you had 3, it was kind of a big deal because you had 3 ways to play it with your favorite style. When the first SU model was introduced, and this is carried out all the way through, and even on the legacy here, the first time they introduced the new concept of the rhythm preset. So when you power up the organ, the first button that comes on is rhythm preset. And you may not be able to see it there, but it's kind of in a yellowish tint. It looks yellow to me. Some people say it looks orange. But it's in standby mode. The minute I press a rhythm style, okay? The minute I push a rhythm style, what happens is it turns red. And then it is now officially activated. And all that means is when I pick a style that I want to use, it gives me a great setup. But then your 10 presets have 10 other ways to play, okay, for that one style. So if I put on country and I use those 10 plus the initial, I get 11 different setups that are work with country music. If I put on opener Broadway, that's that big fancy Broadway that a lot of you are familiar with, I'll have 11 different setups, etc. Now I'm going to very quickly tell you this. I should have put this up on the screen, but I'm going to tell you this. You can go back and watch it or write down very fast. If I pick a rhythm, and rhythm preset what we call 0, what that means is that's kind of the ideal, best setup for that one rhythm style. Okay? And this will apply on the vintage, on the A series, rhythm preset, everything. Over the years, what Lowrey did is they put in the screen specifically what sound you're getting on the upper and the lower. So if I put on this style here, let me pick a Latin style. Let's see, I got bossa nova, rumba, cha-cha, bolero, salsa. Oh gosh, they're all fun styles. Mambo. You know what? I think I'm going to do mambo. I hardly ever play mambos. Okay? Where are you, mambo? There it is. Okay, so I have mambo selected, rhythm preset. So I've got an ideal setup for that. I'm going to go 1 through 10, and here's what you're going to notice. And on all of the SU series, except for one model, when I put this little custom 2 button on here, it's custom for most organs. The screen will show up and it'll give me a little guide. Here's what it says. It says 1 is easiest, 2 is a little more. I'm going to see how steady my hands are. I'll say it and read it. Show it and read. I don't know if you could see that there. Okay? So it says easiest, a little more. 3 will be an organ sound. 4 is string and strum. 5 is bells and whistles. 6 is a solo sound. 7 is vocal. 8 is piano. 9 is samba. And 10 is finale. Now, I'm going to take you away in a minute, and I'll say it again, and then you can go back and watch it on YouTube and pause it. All right, leave it there. Okay, so 1 is easiest. 2 is a little more. And what that means is, easy means from the initial setup here, the 0, it just means 1 will be a lot simplified in the background and the sound. 2, when they say a little more, it means just that, a little bit more from number 1. 3 means I'm always going to get some kind of organ type of sound. Sometimes it's straight organ, sometimes it's jazz, sometimes it's organ with vibes. 4 is going to give me some type of string or strumming type of instrument. 5 is bells and vibes and those types of things. 6 is going to be a solo sound. Now, don't mistake this with a solo button. It's a sound that would be great as a solo. Piano could be a solo instrument. Clarinet, jazz, flute. 7 is going to always have some kind of vocal sound in the preset. 8 will always have some type of piano sound. 9 will have what they call an ensemble. Usually there's a lot of harmony in there, ensemble type sounds. And 10, finale, big, okay? Now normally when I play, I don't use all presets in the song. I kind of pick and choose. For the purpose of this, I'm going to go through all of them and just kind of hear how the background changes a little bit too along with the sound. So here we go, a little mambo. Here's the 0, the starting one. And on the bottom. Number 1. Now number 1 is going to be easy. And notice how it just tapered down, right? Number 2, a little more. Number 3, organ. 4, string or strum. Let's see. 5, bells or whistles. 6, a solo sound. 7, some type of vocal. 'It was hard to hold that note that long. You ever hold a note that long? A piano. 9, ensemble. 10, big. Oh, I should have put my applause button on. That's okay. I'll be my own. I'm my biggest fan. Rama, you're great. Awesome. All right. And moving along, again, these are the things you should be using over and over. And a lot of times, the longer you have an organ, some people, not all, kind of get away for some of the basics. Well, another nice thing about presets, since I'm on the note of presets, is a simple thing called bank and category. And depending on the model, on this model, I'm on the Lowrey Sensation. The Performer, by the way, is a very similar style cabinet with a little bit more on it. They have what we call bank presets. Okay, now for the sake of this, let me put it to factory because I think I loaded some presets in there earlier. And from the factory, what you get on every Lowrey organ that has bank presets is this. When you push A and you use 1 through 10, you get 10 of what, I'm going to say Bill Curry programmed these, 10 of the best Lowrey organ combinations that you could possibly think of. So if you push A and you do 1 and you go through, and if you use your screen, it'll tell you what type of organ sounds you're getting. Now, I won't play them all, but the first one says mellow organ. Standard full on number 4. What they call an open. Full organ on number 9. Oops. Don't forget that note. And a full finale. B gives you what triggers a button called jazz. In other words, what they did is they emulated that Hammond organ sound and the effect of the Leslie speakers that Hammond was very popularly known for. And it goes, usually in A, B, and C, it goes from soft to full. So if I start on 1 or 2, you get some really... Or if you're doing like gospel... And the C bank gives you all great church organ, pipe organ type sounds from soft to full. Now I'll go through these kind of quickly. I would normally play a song with all these changes, but I want you to hear some of these here. And I'm playing chords and pedals. I think I'll do this now with just the easy button. Sounds in there. The beauty of the bank presets that if you want to program your own presets, in this case I can program up to 30. The Royale, the Stardust, the top of the line models had A, B, C, D, and E. D gave us these great symphonic orchestral type sounds, and the E bank gave us what's called novelty. Okay? So really a wonderful selection of sounds. And I'll come back over to the category presets in a minute. But I want to showcase some of the new styles. When this style came out, I fell in absolute love with it. It was a style that was called Soul Ballad. And I'm going to go back to just my rhythm preset. And let's see, Soul Ballad on variation 1 under the, or did I pick the right button? No, Ballad button. You ever push the wrong button on your organ? Does anyone ever do that? No? Nobody's shaking their head? Just me? Oh, yes. Oh, okay. All right. Soul Ballad. This is just such a gorgeous style all around. Listen. ninja style. And I'm purposely doing one finger because sometimes we get carried away when we play. I like people to know that regardless of the skill, the organs are designed to make you sound great regardless of what these do, okay? Sometimes they work and sometimes they don't. You know what bothers me the most? When I play a song that I know I do very well and then I play it once in a while, it's like, nothing's going right. I play it, I know I play it. It happens. Just a little something you could have fun with. Kind of like you can do this on your organ and go check to see if this is how much this happens. When you use rhythm preset number 4 with many of the styles, it'll automatically turn on your drum variation. Okay, now I don't know that all of them do it, but I do know in the past that commonly number 4 would a lot of times activate the drum variation. So if I pick any rhythm, I'm just going to pick a bunch of rhythms here. So far, every one that I've chosen has the drum variation on. Every one that I chose. I want to say all of them do, but I can't say that because I haven't tried every single rhythm on the organ. This one has over 100, for example, and then some of them get up to 300. But here's the point of that. If you're playing a song, one of the arrangement tips, I always tell people, you can be a professional hobby arranger just by using your presets. A lot of people think of the term arranging that you got to have some skill and some years of experience. Well, the Lowrey organs are designed to take away all of this work and skill, and so when you play, it does it for you. That's what it's designed for. So when you're playing along, and I did this on purpose, knowing that was going to happen. So when I was playing, listen to the band, and I was playing along, and when I got to the other part of the song where I wanted to change the preset, I didn't want to just change the sound. I wanted the band to change a little bit. So watch what happens. Number 4. So I didn't just get a different sound, I got the band playing it a little bit differently. And sometimes all it takes is for the drummer to do something a little bit different. Okay? Now, here's another learning tip here for you. Many of you have the alter style button. If you don't have an alter style button, call your personal assistant right away, immediately. Say, I've got to have one of those alter style buttons. Because here's what it does. Now, here's what I'm going to do, is I'm going to pick 2 different rhythm styles. Okay, so let me put on swing band. Okay, some of you are familiar with that. Here we go. Okay, so that's a great big band. Now let me pick Chicago swing. Now they're really totally 2 different styles, aren't they? Now they're both big band in nature. What Lowrey did, and it started on the SU Series. When the Royale was introduced, they added this little simple, little fun button called Alter Style, and I know many of you heard us say it, mention it. And Alter Style does exactly what it says, and it allows you to continue playing your song. It alters the style, not just the drummer, but the entire band. Sometimes it's subtle, and sometimes it's significant. So you can continue playing. If you like the sound that you have, and you just want the band to change, you can use the drum variation, but the drummer will change. But if you do alter style, it will sometimes just change the band, and it's still the same band. So, for example, this rhythm has been around since 1990. after about 10 years, when this was introduced, after 10 years, I got tired of using that rhythm. You can only do so much to change it, right? So when they introduced the alter style button, and all of the styles are totally different. Some, again, are subtle. So listen to that same rhythm. Let's see what happens. Same big band, but the musicians are playing differently, and it just allows you to play either the same song or different songs. So first thing came to my mind was, I still love the sound of the big band. That was something that came out, your grandparents probably told you about Glenn Miller. I don't know if you ever heard of Glenn Miller. But this works on all different styles. So when I was doing New York, New York earlier, I had the New York swing. And when I put on alter style, it gave me that big grand finale. So if you see me playing for the duration of this, you see me reaching up and pushing a button, that's what I'm doing. Why? Because I just don't want to change the sound. I just want the band to change. All right? Now, let me come on over and show off a few of the category presets. Category presets are great because they give you more sounds. I always say a preset, it's like having quick recipes. Only it's not just having recipes at your fingertips, because if you have a recipe book, you have to open it up, read it, you have to go out and buy the ingredients to cook it and so forth. And some people are like, I don't want to use a microwave, it doesn't taste the same. Well, this is like taking a gourmet meal, putting it in a microwave and pushing the button and getting it instantly, and it tastes just as great as cooking in the whole production. So the sounds are, you get instant great sound. So you have, on this model here, I have country, big band, shows, Latin, sacred and holidays. On the Stardust, it has theater, country, big band, show, Latin, and then there's a more button. And in the more button, it gives you more categories from sound categories called lush and bells, and a few others that I can't think off the top of my head. And the beauty of this is that you just pick the category that you want. For example, if I want the big band category, and your screen will tell you what sound you're getting. So for example, I have the big band category on, and I have some of the best big band instruments that you can imagine. The first one says trombone, but it's not just any trombone. I don't know if you ever heard of the name Tommy Dorsey. He had a unique sound. Think about trombone. I've asked a lot of people, who's a famous trombone player? And almost anybody who knows the big band era, the first one they say is always Tommy Dorsey. And who else? And a lot of people go, I don't know. Because trombone, it's kind of one of those instruments that usually was used to blend in. And if you played it as a solo, the sound wasn't the type of sound that made a lot of musicians famous. Tommy had a unique sound, he was in his own class. Do you know who else played the trombone? Most people don't think about it because they think he plays the stick or the hand. Glenn Miller. If you look at all the Glenn Miller photos, you see him holding the trombone in his hand. But anyway, he didn't play it as much as he did conduct. But here we go. Listen to this fabulous. Saxophone, they call it the breathy sax, and I'm reading it right there. It's absolutely, you could almost, if you listen closely, you could hear the person one blowing into the saxophone. so real. Clarinet, some people say when they hear this, they either think of Benny Goodman or Artie Shaw. Or Chet Atkins on the jazz guitar. Did you know that the SU Series was the first time we actually had scat vocals? Well, that's number 7, by the way. And then you went on to the brass sections and the sax sections, and the list goes on and on and on and on. Now, moving along, some of my favorite styles that were introduced. Let's see if you can name this style. Some of you have, I know, let's see. A lot of you have this style. If you don't have it, put this on your wish list. And it's kind of fun. I'll give you a hint. I'll play it 2 different ways. Okay? The first way I'll do it is with a major chord. And then the second way I'll do it with a minor chord. All right? So let's see here. Pretty nice, right? All right, now let me do the minor chord. And you can even have some fun with this depending on if you have the drum variation on or off. Right now it was off. Let's put it on. You ever heard of Gene Krupa by chance? Or Buddy Rich? I believe I remember way back in my youth, I watched The Muppet Show, and Buddy Rich was a guest artist, and he had a drum off against, I think it was Animal was his name, that played the drums. Buddy Rich won. But on this rhythm style, if you have the drum variation off and you hold the touch bar, it'll give you a Buddy Rich style drum solo. If you have the drum variation on and do it, it'll give you a Gene Krupa. Okay, the style, anybody know what style I'm using? No? It's called Vegas Big Band. Okay, so here we go. Listen to this. Buddy Rich. If you hold it long enough, he does all sorts of stuff. Here comes Gene Krupa. Oh yeah, that's cool. Ultra style and drum variation. Oh boy, I'm having fun. It's been a while since I played one of these models, and I forget how fun these organs were. You know, I just met someone earlier today in the store, and she acquired a small Lowrey organ, and she said, but you know, when did it come out, and this and that, but it's an older model. And I said, you know, unless it's a really old one, and to me, older models would be anything from the early 90s on back. I said, but this generation of models, these Lowrey organs, despite the fact that they came out in 2001 and carried, they paved the way to all of the models we have. There's so many phenomenal features and sounds. The beauty is this, really, we introduce a lot of people in the hobby that have smaller models. And naturally, we sometimes show them an organ like a Marquis or an Inspire or something like that, and they look at the price tag and they go, oh my God, no, no, no. These offer a lot of those features and sounds as some of those models do, because this is where it started. For example, this is like a little thing that's a big deal to me. Some of you are familiar with the feature called Golden Harp. It was introduced actually way back in the early 90s or mid 90s. And they made it even better when the SUs came out. And so you have, depending on your model, you have up to 2, 3, 4, or 8 different Golden Harp patterns. But the reason why I like Golden Harp is because if I just power up this organ and I just turn it on and I push, say, I'll put on number 4. I love the sound of the strings. I'm going to put on my easy button. Sometimes I like to play songs without a rhythm. And I'll suggest this to students, and a lot of students will say, I don't like that hum sound. It's not really a hum, it's a chord that's holding. It'd be like me playing a chord, holding a bass note, and holding it. The difference is when I play like that, I don't always hold it. Sometimes I'll pause, so you don't have that constant. Well, you can do that with the easy button by turning off the memory, but sometimes we don't want to do that. Maybe we have to change our hands, or so what happens is I'll just tell people, if you're going to play a song with this feature, put on your Golden Harp with it. And you have, in this case, I have 3 different patterns. I have up and down, which always works nicely. Up or down. Now, some of you have a button next to your Golden Harp that says Genius or Sound. In this case, I have Genius, and all that means is it's an access to all of the other instruments that the organ has, and I don't know the exact number, but there's like over 150 or more sounds, okay? And if I push it, it'll give me a sound, and I can make that Golden Harp pattern do whatever I want it to be. It could be piano, I can make it a vibraphone, I can make it a guitar. In this case, let's see what's there. There's a bells already automatically in there. So many cool things. You can use it with or without a rhythm, whatever you feel like doing in the moment. And you can change it, change the sound, and you can use the patterns. And the other cool thing is if you're playing without a rhythm, right now it's currently at a 123 tempo. Okay, so when I do that, this is the speed of the Golden Harp. can speed up that golden harp much faster if you want. So for example, I was playing Somewhere Over the Rainbow. I'm going to put the tempo at 180. Now most people would say, I would not play Over the Rainbow at 180. No, I would not. But because I'm not using a rhythm, and I'm just going to hold the chord down, the golden harp pattern will reflect the tempo, but I'm going to play the speed that I want to play. Listen. So you can put the tempo high, but play slow. You don't have to try to play at the speed. So many cool features. Now, another one, they had this doodad. I shouldn't call it that. It's touch bar. I know some of you have two of them. This has one on the Royale and the Stardust, Grand Royale and Palladium. It has a split, and some of the models have one. Functionally, to change them is the same procedure, only the ones that have two you basically have two options to change it. In the years past, before, all it did was either a fill-in, I think, or a fill-in or fill-in or a fill-in. In other words, not much. And Lowrey had a major breakthrough with the touch bar, that you can change the touch bar in some cases up to 13, 14, or more ways depending on the size of the model that you had. So for example, if I was playing a Hawaiian music and I don't want to use the foot switch to try to, let me put on a good, most people when they try to use that, they don't keep their foot straight like I can. They do this. And I don't know what happens, but the body moves too for some reason. So Lowrey gave us a few different ways that you can do this. You can do it on the foot switch, of course. You could actually program the pedal to do it. Or you go to the feature here simply called touch bar, and when you activate it, you have options. Right now it's currently on the fill-in. If I scroll up one, I have tap tempo. I can actually tap out how fast or slow I want it, okay? Which comes in handy if you have a rhythm style and you're not quite sure, but you know you could actually 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, that's how I got it set up. Or you can go in and there's a feature where you can change it to the glide. So instead of using the foot switch, so if you're playing, you have multiple functions you can do, and it depends on what you want. You can do a start or stop. You can program the light show here. So while you're playing, I know a lot of you have seen us playing, and sometimes at the end of our song, a light show comes on. And like, where did he push that so fast? Well, might have had it programmed in here. Or you can program it to do sound effects. So if you want, while you're playing and you want to have some fun with that, you can do things like, we need a nice little breeze here. Or maybe you want something like whistle, play football, I don't know. You can do typewriter, train, you can have thunder, you can have birds and seagulls, or maybe you got scared. Or you want to wake up somebody in the morning. You got a bad neighbor, turn it up. How do they know if it's you playing the organ? They don't. Or you you can have an airplane, et cetera, et cetera. Oh boy, I'll be here forever. And all sorts of other little cool things. You can actually program minor chords in here if you don't want to learn to play the full chord. You can activate it. You can do the no chord option, which is pretty cool because a lot of times people don't like smashing the keys to get. There's the no chord. So instead of, I didn't mean to do that. I didn't like that act, but it did it. It worked. But that's an example. Sometimes, hey, it didn't do it. And then you end up beating another, or you just program it in the touch bar, and it cuts out everything. And then it just picks back up when you hit the chord. So many cool little things. You can do fade out while you're playing. You can program your intros and endings. You can decrease your tempo, increase your tempo, transpose up half a step while you're playing the song. There's just so many cool things that the touch bar can do. And if it's something that you do a lot, you can save it on a preset and then have it stored there. So a lot of amazing functions. Let me play another new style, one more feature, and I'll close off with a little song here for you. Let's see, so far I showed about 7 of the 20 styles, so I'm going to have to go through these very quickly now. Just kidding. I'll just have to be choosy and pick one. Oh, you know what? This is a great style. This was actually introduced after the Royale came out. They put this on the Stardust. When they introduced the Sensation, they thought it would be a great style to put on here. And the style is spelled uppercase L, period, I, period, F, period, E, period, life. At that time, when that style came out, Lowrey had a network of little organ groups throughout the nation at dealers called Life. Lowrey is fun and easy. And it was a way for them to try to branch out the organ industry. And so it was okay for them to put a style called Life. But since they put that style in there, they kind of catered a song to go with it. See if you can guess. Here we go. That's a great, and it's got a really nice rhythm and blues feel to that. So if you like songs in that category, but let me not forget a simple thing that many of us are spoiled with now. But there are some students who don't have this feature yet, and it is a very impressive feature. This was the first time it was introduced on 2001 on the Lowrey Royale. And before then, we always say to each other when we're talking sometimes with the students, I go, I don't remember what we did before that. How did we set up a song? And we're like, oh, we just kind of picked a rhythm, or we had to call the store and say, hey, what would you use for this song? And give me a few days because I don't really know that one, and we poke around. So in 2001, the Lowrey Royale was the first time they introduced song setup. Now, it's been around ever since then, and it's been on top-of-the-line models and even some of our smaller models, inevitably. But that was the only organ then that had it. So it took years before you started seeing it on many models. Now, keep in mind that if you have a small model, one of the smaller Lowrey organs, it has 100 song setups, which is good. Some of them have 200, some have 300. The Royale had 500 was introduced. I believe they got up to 800, maybe close to 1,000 on the Aria. I don't know the exact number. On the Sensation, as an example, there are 500. And, and these song setups are basically the best setup for that song. Now, do you have to play that song? No, but it's a great way. And if it's listed in there, and there's a lot of great titles. The one that we used to show off a lot, I'm just going to touch song setup, and I'm going to scroll up to my M's. And because this is the first time this style was introduced. Now, even nowadays, some of the smaller Lowrey organs that we have available don't have this style. And every time someone hears this, they just fall in love with this. It's kind of a great style that was introduced for the song Mr. Sandman. Now think about Mr. Sandman and the ladies that sang this part. Listen. Great style. And if you have that style, search a little further, because in that group of styles there's another one called doo-wop that's actually in the same grouping of those. So for example, this is Mr. Sandman, and if I go to the other variation, you have just some fabulous styles. When I heard that, I thought, boy, I wish I had the music to Earth Angel. That would have been perfect for that. Just some really great songs that warm the heart. So many cool little features. I could spend an entire day and not get through it all. But overall, those were some of the key styles and features that were introduced on the Lowrey SU Series organs. They still maintain, they still have some of the best things that were introduced on these models. And lastly, you know, this was back when the organs had floppy disks. Now, if there's anybody out there that has an SU organ, you can still buy floppy disks. I have, over the years, I'm a hoarder in this respect. I have a cabinet drawer in the bottom cabinet. I've got a box full of discs, because every now and then someone will purchase an organ and I'll have to load it up with some presets and some songs. And actually the songs from the 50 songs, Black Songbook, when on the touchscreen models, they're actually a karaoke as well. So you can have some fun with that. The first SU series that were introduced, the Legacy, Rhapsody, and Royale, they had the black and white screens, and then the Grand Royale as well, and then the Stardust came out after, Sensation, Performer, and then the Palladium, they all had the color screen on them as well. I'm going to finish up with one last number here for you. I have to somehow single it down to one out of 15 styles that I really wanted to play today. I might have to play a couple short ones just because I love that one, I love that one, and I love that one. So I want to thank you for joining me today. We finish up with a couple little short styles. You know what? This was one that in the waltz category that I use a lot of times during the holidays, or maybe you're playing some pretty waltzes. This is a great waltz to use. It's called Lullaby. style that I don't hear a lot in a lot of our Zooms. And I was just poking around before the show, and I was like, oh, man. And I ran into this one, and then I just, in the moment, I said, I wonder what it would sound like with the song that I did in one of my Song of the Month classes. It's called 70s Love Song is the name of the style, okay? It's a beautiful style. And I just put it on to see what happened, and then I tried the song, and I went, this is great for that, actually. Watch. That's the intro. But when I play the song, I usually don't use the intro, so I just play it like this. Now, if I was playing that song, what I would do actually at that very end, I might do something like this. Use the fade-in feature on the touch bar. That would be actually great for that. And then I was poking around, and I thought, here's a fun song to play, and once you learn the first few notes, you kind of pretty much know the whole entire song. I'm going to use the fill-in. There's a part of the song you hold the fill-in down. All you have to do is hold it, and then change the chord. Okay? This is this is kind of fun. Let's see, where is it? There it is. Contempo. I'm going to go in there. Variation. Exciting. All right. I'm going to close off the show with this fun little number. The style is called Surf's Up. Okay. And the song I'm going to play is called Wipeout. And if you hold the chord, it'll do that exact same drum solo that you heard in the song Wipeout. But I think someone told me you had to do that thing in the beginning where the guy kind of laughs really high. Wipeout! much, everybody. Thank you so much. Hold the applause. Wait, no. I was trying to find the applause button. I got a drum in there. Anyway, applause. Well, thank you so much. I hope you enjoyed the show. I hope you learned at least one little thing that'll apply to your organ. And I'm going to leave you with, if you go to our website, you'll notice this is going to come down in a few days. But we currently have some amazing specials that are on the SU organs. And what you're going to find is in a couple of days, either tomorrow or Friday at the latest, we had a huge clearance sale that we've had going on. And you'll see that we have beginners models, but you'll see a lot of these Royales, Stardust, SU Series organs were all part of the special. And so if you like what you heard, or you know a friend that might be thinking about getting involved in the hobby, we have some very, very impressive opportunities out there. So contact your personal assistant. Anyway, as always, stay safe, keep playing music, and mwah, everybody. See you real soon.
Thanks, Robert.
Thank
That was
you.
fun. That was fun.
Good. I'm glad you enjoyed.
Bye.